Welcome to a quick overview video of Foodworks.online Professional. In this video, I will be covering the basics of Foodworks.online Professional to help you get started. I will discuss the Workspace dashboard, steps to create a new workspace, how to modify the workspace settings, and also how to create a resource and a client. Let's get started. When you log in, you will be presented with your Workspace dashboard, which displays all of the workspaces you have access to. You can think of a workspace as being a folder to store your data such as foods, recipes, clients, and meal plans. To create a new workspace, click the Create Workspace button in the top right corner of the Workspace dashboard screen, and then choose your new workspace name and color. I'll type Example Workspace and make it green. If you select the Favorite option, your workspace will be displayed in the Favorited Workspaces section of your Workspace dashboard, as well as in the Workspaces table. If you do not select the Favorite option, it will just be displayed in your Workspaces table. If it is a workspace you will be accessing frequently, I would suggest making it a favorited workspace so it's easily accessible. You can then select either Australia or New Zealand from the country dropdown, which determines the data sources, measurements, nutrients, and components that are enabled by default. After setting up your workspace, click Create, and you will be placed in your new Workspace Settings section. On the General tab of your Workspace settings, you can change the name and color of your workspace and add a description if you like. If you are in a Foodworks Online organization with more than one user, you can also share your workspaces with other users by clicking the Manage Access icon. After sharing a workspace with a user, they will see the workspace on their Workspace dashboard when they log in. You can use this function to collaborate on resources such as recipes and meal plans. On the Nutrients and Components tab, you can enable and disable nutrients for your workspace after clicking the Unlock toggle. Keep in mind that changing the enabled nutrients will affect all of the resources in your workspace and may result in changes to nutrient calculations. On the Reference Measures tab, you can edit the type of reference measures for your workspace after clicking the Unlock toggle. By default, metric reference measures are enabled. On the Data Sources tab, you can enable and disable the data sources for your workspace. This will determine the reference foods that you can search and select from when creating resources. On this tab, you can also read details about each data source by clicking the expander arrow. Now that we have discussed the workspace settings, let's move on to the navigation pane, which is on the left-hand side of your screen. The navigation pane will display all of the resources and clients in your workspace once you have created them. You can create resources and clients by selecting the plus icon on the navigation pane and selecting Food, Recipe, Meal Plan, Food Record, 24-hour recall, or Client from the dropdown. Keep in mind that you can either create general resources for the workspace or client-specific resources. Let's first create a resource for the workspace. I will select Food from the dropdown and call it Example Food. You can now see that this food has appeared in the navigation pane. Note that when you first create a resource, it is automatically saved as a draft version, which is indicated by the circle next to the resource icon in the navigation pane. Once you have finished creating the resource, you can either navigate away from the resource and it will remain as a draft, finalize the resource by selecting Publish, or delete the unpublished draft version if you no longer want this resource in your workspace. To create other resources, simply click the required resource type from the dropdown after selecting the plus icon. To create a client, simply select Client from the dropdown after selecting the plus icon. You will need to enter the profile details of the client, including their name, date of birth, weight, height, and physical activity level, which I will do now. This information is required for energy requirements to be calculated and for nutrient reference values to be assigned for the client. Now that the client is created, there is a space to record diet histories and biometrics of the client, as well as set nutrient targets and view nutrient and biometric graphs. Client-specific resources can be created in the Client Resource tab by clicking Create New and selecting a resource type. We will cover clients in more detail in another video. Now I can go back to the Workspace settings by clicking this in the navigation pane, and I can go back to the Workspace dashboard by clicking the Foodworks.online logo at the top left of the screen, or by clicking the Back to Workspace dashboard icon in the navigation pane. On the Workspace dashboard, you can now see my workspace is stored in the Workspaces table, and because I favorited it, it is also available in the favorited Workspaces section, and I can refer back to all of my work by opening up that workspace. I will finish this video by quickly mentioning that activity logs are available on your Workspace dashboard, which displays changes to all of the workspaces you have access to in your organization. An activity log is also available for each individual workspace in the Workspace settings section, which displays changes that have occurred in that open workspace. There is also an activity log for each individual resource or client, which is displayed on the General tab of a resource or the Dashboard tab of a client. These activity logs record changes that have occurred within that open resource or client. All of these activity logs available are very useful to track changes within your organization and can be opened and closed by clicking the expander arrows. This brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video helps get you started with Foodworks.online Professional. To access more video resources, please click the thumbnail on this screen.